Reggie, Killer, Miller, and Lynn Elmore. Guys, what should we pay attention to early in this game?
Well, for Butler, you have to chase these Badgers off the three-point line. They're an excellent pick and pop team. You've got to rebound the basketball. Wisconsin has the size, and keep Wisconsin off the free throw line, the best free throw shooting team in Division I basketball.
And the tip controlled by Wisconsin. Lenny.
Just to add to that, I mean, you got a Wisconsin team that led the nation in the fewest turnovers, and that's why you see the pressure right here, trying to get the ball loose. 7.5 turnovers per game. That's amazing.
Inside, Lure's first shot, no good, and here come the Butler Bulldogs. Butler, two dramatic wins in Washington. 60-58 over Old Dominion. Matt Howard winning the game for him in the end. And 71-70, a controversial win over #1 seed Pitt. Mac.
And if you're Wisconsin, you're going to have to match the intensity of Matt Howard. This is a guy that has a non-stop motor, and he's going to keep coming at you. And it looks like early on, Keaton Nakenville has drawn the assignment. It's another guy that brings a lot of energy as well for Wisconsin.
Nakenville not a post-up player. Lure leaning in. The floater no good. And Andrew Smith with the rebound.
Well, both of these teams, terrific defensive teams as well. They dig in. They don't give away possessions. They'll make you work.
Andrew Smith joined this 11-game winning streak for the Butler Bulldogs, averaging 10 points and 7 rebounds. He's the one guy that has allowed Matt Howard to roam free outside and knock down those timely threes.
7 on the shot clock for Mac. Trying to break down the defense, gets to the basket, finger roll is off the mark, clear.
Had the shot, couldn't put it down, and that might have been a little bit too much dribbling for the way Butler plays offensive style. They like to pop the ball around a little bit, but Matt can break down defenses.
Can't give this guy a look. Keaton Nakenville, although he's 6'8", he's a player that feels most comfortable on the perimeter.
He not only feels most comfortable on the perimeter, but when he knocks down his first shot, he usually expands his game. He's one of those rhythm shooters and scorers for the Badgers.
Here's Howard, who left the 5 position this year, moved to the power forward spot, and a foul coming up will go against John Lure. So let's take a look at the school profile for the Butler Bulldogs, located in Indy. Small school, 4,200, founded in 1855.
And for those of you who have never played in Hinkle Fieldhouse, I had the pleasure of my professional basketball career playing for the Pacers and for 18 years. And early on in my career, when Marcus Square was our building where we used to play from, as you know, Lynn.
I played in the first one in Marcus Square. Don't date me.
Our practices used to be at Hinkle, and it's a beautiful, old school, Hoosier type feel whenever you're in that building.
Well, Conseco, I think, was in part designed after. That's the Indiana basketball tradition.
Meanwhile, John Lure picks up his first foul early in this game. It is crucial that Lure stay out of foul trouble and on the floor for as much as possible. Gosser, the talented freshman, and the ball knocked out of the hands of Howard and out of bounds by Jordan Taylor. And a look at the tournament profile for the Badgers out of the Big Ten Conference. 25 wins. One of 2 teams to beat Ohio State. Purdue, the other team, knocked out of the NCAA Tournament by VCU.
Well, already, I wouldn't be surprised if we see one of those 36-33 games that we saw Penn State and this Wisconsin team go through in the Big Ten semifinal game.
Because, Reggie, we were talking after the first game, and when you brought up this game, you said this may be a bloodbath.
This is, because both of these teams mirror one another. They both play hard defensively. They don't overexert themselves. They don't turn the ball over and hurt themselves, and they rebound well.
31st meeting between these squads in a series that dates back to 1921. Wisconsin leading the series 17-13. And this is their first meeting since the 2001 season. Howard, the jump hook inside. Nakenville contesting nicely.
Yeah, Matt Howard trying to show his perimeter skills off the bounce. That's a new and improved part of his game from last year, where he was mostly a block-to-block kind of player. But he is still relatively foul-prone, and Butler needs to keep him in the ballgame.
John Lure, pure on the jump shot. It's a three-pointer. Lure, first team, all Big Ten. And he can stroke it from outside as well. A 38% three-point shooter at 6 feet 10 inches.
Yeah, that's a tough matchup for Andrew Smith. He's not used to guarding guys that far away from the basket.
Mack step back jump shot. And here's a player that was so important in their run last year, and he's coming off a 30-point game against Pitt. 5-3 Wisconsin.
Yeah, Mack's been outstanding, particularly from three, where he's shooting, coming in this game, shooting 50% from beyond the arc in 2 tournament games.
Over 200 threes in his career, only the 4th player in Butler history to accomplish the feat. Now Jordan Taylor looks like a strong safety playing point guard, throws that one over the head of Jarmas out of bounds. All right, the winner of the game, Greg, as you know, advancing to take on Connecticut for a trip to the Final Four. Our score here, 5-3, Wisconsin on top of Butler. Ronald Norred has checked in for the Bulldogs. That ball kicked, and now the Powerade sideline report. Here's Marty.
Well, guys, believe it or not, back in the day, Jordan Taylor had to sell himself to Wisconsin. Yes, he was on a recruiting visit and talked to assistant coach, and he said, Coach, what's it going to take for me to play here? And he said, well, a couple things like this. He said, no, Coach, I want to play here in Madison. It was actually his personality, Gus, that got him on the radar, not his play. And I bet Wisconsin's glad that happened, too.
All right, Sean Van Zandt with a baseline jump shot. He averages 8 points a game. And Butler taking a 6-5 lead. Thank goodness, Lenny, that Jordan Taylor convinced the coaches that he was a nice guy, because he's a terrific basketball player. Van Zandt with the steal.
Well, first of all, there's an example of the toughness that we talked about that Butler possesses, as well as the experience playing through what might have been a whistle. But the point that you're making about Jordan Taylor, he's a tough customer as well. And I guess Bo Ryan considers himself lucky that he had such a talent asking him, can I play?
Jordan Taylor, John Lure, first team all Big Ten. First time that's happened. 2 players on the first team in Wisconsin basketball history. Nankerville off balance, but he shot it on a line.
He is a rhythm shooter. When he knocks down his first shot, you can go to him early and often. That's mentally sometimes a little bit fragile when it comes to shooting, unless he gets off early.
Spoken like a true rhythm shooter.
Now Mack bounce pass inside, ball knocked away, picked up. Norred, who started last year in their national championship run, and now is coming off the bench, still plays the same amount of minutes though.
Well, Van Zandt recognized the mismatch, and he wants to take a shot clock down.
Comes up short, batted out. Nice job by Andrew Smith.
Yeah, I think his development as a sophomore has been key for this Butler Bulldog. Got off to a slow start, but this team has really found their own.
Count the basket and the foul for Mack.
And I think that's going to be the difference in this ball game. We've seen Wisconsin settle for jump shots. Here, Butler working hard to get the ball inside, either off the bounce with Mack breaking down the defense, or getting it inside to Matt Howard, who's posting up strong.
Shelvin Mack, such a strong point guard. 6'3", 215, barrel-chested from Lexington, Kentucky. How did they let him out of the state of Kentucky?
Well, it was interesting when he was talking to us yesterday, and he went to a few LeBron James camp and Deron Williams, and we're like, well, what did you learn from Deron Williams when you were at your camp? It's like, well, I had a few one-on-ones with him, but the one thing, and he just showed it on that move right there, protecting the basketball when you're going into the lane. He says all these other point guards and guards, they always get their hands on the ball. If you can hold the basketball and be strong, you'll have a better job of finishing at the rim.
And he's very strong, as you mentioned. Combination guard. 13-19 to play. Foul called on Van Zandt, his first team foul against the Bulldogs.
Brad Stevens really likes Zach Hahn, who just came in for Van Zandt, and Norred coming off the bench. It's all about defensive pressure for Brad Stevens. And you're right, Gus. Everything for Wisconsin has been a jump shot, where everything for Butler has been a straight line drive to the basket.
Yeah, and even then, settling for the jump shot, not even exploring the Butler defense. And you take a look at Wisconsin. There aren't any real post players in there. Lure's got the ability to do that.
But look at the size difference between Wisconsin and Butler. And right now, Butler's just outplaying them.
And that's a blocking foul.
That's close.
And that will go against Bruzewicz.
And to the aggressor, many times goes the call. You talk about taking a charge. You could have picked any one of those guys trying to take the charge, and it is Bruzewicz that steps in.
That's tough. That is a tough call because, Lynn, you're right. That could have gone either way. But, again, it's the Butler Bulldogs who are being the aggressive. They've shown that they're trying to get into the lane. You're going to get the benefit of the doubt calls.
Look how hard Bruzewicz is trying just to keep in front of Matt Howard.
Rebound goes to Ryan Evans. Jordan Taylor the other way. Now Evans does a nice job coming off the bench for Wisconsin. Averages 3 points, plays about 12 minutes a game, but he's tough.
If you're Lure, you got to get into the post. You had Hahn on you.
Now you got a mismatch.
Well, if I'm still Lure, I still stay down there with Marshall on. You've got 4 or 5 inches on him.
Taylor weaving, step back jump shot. Got it.
Tell you what, that's good D by Norwood, but better offense by Jordan Taylor.
Taylor averaging 16.6 assists in the first 2 games. Butler up by a point, and the Bulldogs throw it out of bounds. 11:57 to play in the first half. 11-10. Butler. All right, Greg, and how about Connecticut? Here's a team, they weren't even ranked at the beginning of the season.
Well, they played some big games in those preseason tournaments. You know, wound up winning the Maui Classic. Kemba Walker started to establish himself and finished the season winning 5 consecutive days to win the Big East championship.
That's impressive in itself.
That's unbelievable.
If that doesn't get you ready for the tournament, I don't know what else is.
But then they survived the first 2 rounds, thought that they'd be tired, and here they are in the Elite 8.
Sometimes that Big East tournament is so difficult as Taylor draws a foul and will go to the line. That Big East tournament is so difficult, Len, that teams can wear themselves out as they get ready to head into the NCAAs. And for instant analysis and highlights of every tournament game, log on to SI.com.
Yeah, I mean, that's many times people think that these conference tournaments kind of cannibalize the members of that conference that go into the NCAA tournament. You know, ultimately it just wears them down to the point where for some reason they go flat and can't compete. But nothing like that happened in the Connecticut. Hats off to Jim Calhoun, Kemba Walker and company for continuing to survive and advance.
And the book on Jordan Taylor so far in the 2011 NCAA tournament.
Well, here a rare miss here for Wisconsin at the free throw line. We mentioned this is the best free throw shooting team in Division I basketball, right at 82%.
How about a team shooting 82%?
That's unbelievable. That's everyone focusing at the charity stripe.
Matt Howard takes a 3. And there's it.
And that's the new element of his game. He's worked on it. And this year really had confidence in stepping outside. And you know what? It's interesting because Brad Stevens is the one who said one of his biggest concerns is Wisconsin's size. And right now, Butler doing an excellent job keeping Wisconsin out of the paint, keeping the bigs off the block, and then taking them outside and using them.
Howard cuts off Lure. 12 to shoot for Taylor. Now Lure a 3, rims off, and a whistle. That foul will go against Butler inside. Bruzewicz crashing the boards.
Well, again, his is a valuable weapon for Butler. You see high screen and then the exchange. Howard steps outside because he knows his man is going to help on what he perceived to be penetration.
And that really was a good brush screen there by Marshall as he went down to get Bruzewicz to kind of free Howard coming up.
Yeah, they do an excellent job of freeing up their bigs. But I think Wisconsin really needs to start looking to post and get the Butler bigs in foul trouble.
Lure, baseline, Nankova wide open. Jarmas tipping it, but Evans can't hang on.
Everything is difficult for Wisconsin facing the basket of lower percentage shots.
Van Zandt, bounce, and hits.
That's nice. This kid has a steady game to himself. Not only is he, along with Norwood, probably the best perimeter defenders for this Butler Bulldog. But his offensive game, Brad Stevens has found his third option to go along with Mack and Howard.
And a steal. Van Zandt throws it in front. Van Zandt up and in.
And Reggie, to kind of piggyback on that point, Van Zandt during this 11-game win streak, averaging double figures, playing a heck of a kind of basketball.
7-0 run. And Reggie.
I still got to go with Jimmer Fredette. I mean, throughout the year, he captivated the national scene, was so consistent. Every game he played was in double figures.
Well, absolutely. I think you got to go with Jimmer, but I'm going to throw an honorable mention probably in there to Derek Williams from Arizona. I thought he had a fantastic year for Arizona Wildcats to win the Pac-10 title as Nakenville knocks down his second three early on in this first half.
That's right, representing West Coast ball, man. I thought you were going to say Kemba Walker.
Well, it pains me to say that, even though I'm calling Arizona. They were our arch rivals when I was at UCLA.
Mack almost traveled. 18-14. Norred to Van Zandt, who's been terrific to start, steps back. And John Lure with the rebound. John Lure with his third rebound. He's been settling for jump shots, and he's got a very nice post game when he gets it inside.
Well, if he gets there.
Well, the reason why he can't go inside is because Andrew Smith is doing a good job of checking him out top.
Jarmas, meanwhile, knocking down the jump shot. Tim Jarmas, a senior from Oshkosh, Wisconsin, who cuts the Butler lead to 2.
We're talking about Lure posting up, though. If you're a post-up guy and you really want it, you go down there and fight for position.
Smith. Oh,
that's nice.
Left
that's nice. And then punish Lure at the other end. See, that's exactly what Lure is supposed to be doing at this end. Smith is just giving him a blueprint on how he should play.
Now, Nankivell facing. Lure drives.
Good help defense there by Matt Howard.
Taylor, 12 to shoot. Lure knocked out of his hands, out of bounds, and last touched by Wisconsin.
We talked about Andrew Smith and his emergence down low, which has allowed Matt Howard to roam on the outside. Nice spin baseline, and understands exactly where the 6'10 Lure is underneath, using that left hand on the glass.
And Reggie, you see how he wanted it, though. He got to the post and sat down on it and made himself a big target to get it. And with the size and strength that Wisconsin possesses, I'm shocked that they haven't had more guys running to the post and isolated.
The Butler defense has been very disruptive, as you mentioned earlier, Lynn. Wisconsin averaging only 7.5 turnovers per game, which leads the nation. They have 4 turnovers already, and we have under 8 to go.
Well, not only that, I like with Brad Stevens, you get Matt Howard out the game, understanding that the under 8 timeout is coming here. You get a chance to rest him, plus a timeout. Then you can probably bring him back for the rest of this half. Smart move there by head coach Brad Stevens of Butler.
So Jordan Taylor off to a slow start. In their last win against Kansas State, he was 2 of 16, played some good defense on Jacob Pullen at the end, denying him the game-tying 3. Now Lure spinning, stripped, and turnover number 5. Shelvin Mack the other way, hands it off. Stegall.
Well, that's one thing that all these kids from Indiana can do. They can shoot the basketball. Chase Stegall from Newcastle, Indiana, coming off that dribble handoff, knocking it down.
Largest lead of the game now for Butler.
When I first found that out about Indiana guys that can shoot jump shots, it was all about Rick Mount from Purdue on the cover of Sports Illustrated way back when. It was even before I started playing.
Billy Keller as well.
Ball. Yeah, Billy Keller. I mean, you could go down the list of outstanding shooters from the state of Indiana.
Taylor spinning on Van Zandt, leans in, uses his strength.
That was nice.
Well, that's one thing you're going to see a lot Bo Ryan do. He's going to try to put Jordan Taylor, especially on that post, because he can post up Van Zandt and he can post up Norred, use that body, that size.
Taylor, a very patient offensive player. Wow, inside, beautiful jam. As Butler gets Kyle Marshall free, and he hammers it down, his first basket.
Well, let me tell you this. We talk about Butler and some of the obstacles that they face, but this is a team, we know they have the experience.
6:05 to play in the first half. 25-18 Butler as we look at the game summary.
Well, they're definitely shooting lights out, no question about it. And Wisconsin, that rarely turns the ball over, has turned it over enough that Butler can score 10 points off of turnovers. And Butler attacking, you see the 10 points in the paint, and Wisconsin relegated to pretty much a perimeter shooting team right now.
Boy, you talked about Wisconsin. They turned the ball over 6 or 7 times during the game, already 5. And if you let Brad Stevens, Butler team, shoot 59% from the field, 50 from 3, reason why you're up 7.
Nankivell with the basketball with Taylor, Jarmus, Gossett, and Bruzewicz.
And Gus, going back to the point I was going to make about experience, remember, this team has won 11 straight games coming into this game, and the last 4 tournament games that they played, including the national championship last year, have been decided by 2 points or less, so they know how to win basketball games.
Jarmus with another jump shot. He averages 4 points a game on the season. He has 5 now, and it cuts the Butler lead to 4.
And let these Wisconsin Badgers get going and get loose from that 3-point line. Excellent 3-point shooting team.
Inside the rebound, and stick back goes to Kyle Marshall.
Marshall has been huge off the bench for Brad Stevens. So active, long arms, runs the floor, gritty defender.
He's a freshman from Davie, Florida. Bruzewicz, 20-footer. Rebounded by Jarmus. New shot clock for the Badgers. Now Taylor gathers himself and is fouled behind the 3-point line by Van Zandt. But turnovers have been an issue for Wisconsin.
And we talked about this team leading the nation in the fewest turnovers. Also, their assist-to-turnover ratio, the best since West Virginia. Here, just careless with the basketball. Well, Ryan, this is very unsettling for him to see. This is a team that, under his tutelage, good at ball movement, man movement, and sharing the basketball. And another missed free throw for Jordan Taylor and the Wisconsin Badgers.
Wisconsin, as a team, as you mentioned, 82% free throw shooting squad. Jordan Taylor missing the first 2.
Well, when you get to this level and you're getting a chance to play to move on to face Florida in the Elite 8, nerves start to creep in a little bit, Lynn.
Well, I'll tell you what, since 2003, this is the 4th Sweet 16 that Wisconsin has been to. But these guys right here, it's all about experience. They're playing probably the most experienced team in the field as far aside from Duke and Kansas.
Lynn, something
the
to
last
watch.
couple of years.
Van Zandt just picked up his 2nd foul. This is, offensively, he's really been helping out, being that 3rd option for Brad Stevens.
9 points for Van Zandt to start this game. Norrid turns a corner hard, hands it off. Stegall. Air ball. Looks like he was bumped with the body.
Well, that's 2 rush shots by Stegall. One Marshall cleaned up for him. He made his first one that was out top, but his last 2 shots have been rushed. And I'm not quite sure that's what Brad Stevens is arguing with the officials. How did Jordan Taylor get that call and Stegall did?
27-22. Butler. And you can tell they're working hard. Listen to the sneakers squeaking. Wisconsin cutting hard. Their offense is known as a swing offense, going from side to side under Bo Ryan. And a whistle and a foul.
Yes, Stegall's been underneath the legs of Bruzewicz this entire play here. And Stegall, who's given up about 4 or 5 inches, is trying to take one in the chest.
And I'm surprised officials don't take a look.
Wow, that's
Could have been
close.
an elbow.
That's
I tell you
really
what,
close.
you can tell this kid's from Indiana because that was a classic Reggie Miller flop.
What are you talking about?
Exactly. Norrid off the steal. Howard kept it alive, and a whistle. All right, Fear the Skies face the enemy. Fight for survival from TNT and DreamWorks Television. Falling Skies, the series premiere this June only on TNT. As Matt Howard goes to the line. Come on, Reggie, you know you were masterful at flopping when you play.
Guys, I have no idea what you're talking about. I just used to go out there and play the game, let the game come to me, and try to take charges. And I'm at a loss for words right here.
Doing what it takes, right? That's all it takes. But I'll tell you what, we talk about Matt Howard, the leader of this team, and we talk about experience. They know how to play in this tournament setting. And you could see on that last play, greater intensity than Wisconsin. Beating them to the ball, pushing it up.
You know what I love about Matt Howard is Gordon Hayward's shot at the buzzer last year in that championship game. People forget, how did he get so wide open? It was Matt Howard who leveled Singler for him to get that wide open and even get a shot off.
And Wisconsin throws it away once again. 7 turnovers for the Badgers here in the first half. They're right at their season average.
And Butler playing like their mascot's name. Just Bulldogs attacking, playing aggressively, and will not let up.
Bulldogs really share the ball. Norred to the basket. And picked up by Jordan Taylor. He'll lead the break. Bruzewicz driving, kicking.
I don't get that.
Baseline, Gossip.
I don't get that. Bruzewicz, one step with his length, he had a layup. Why do you throw it back outside? I don't get it.
To have Butler with a 29-22 lead over Wisconsin. The Bulldogs seeded 8th. Wisconsin a number 4. But right now, Butler looking like a team that played for the national championship 1 year ago, especially on defense.
Well, we understood that both of these teams, this was going to be a low possession game. Both of these teams are excellent offensively at running their offense. So it's all about the little things.
Now Lure inside. And an over-the-back foul coming up. Looks like that will go against Andrew Smith.
At least we got some post-up play right now from Wisconsin. Talk about tonight's shining moments. Kemba Walker, again, just making a name for himself, continues to do that. Jeremy Lamb, his running partner, did a job on San Diego State. Alex Tyus, big, came up big, particularly down the stretch. And Jimmer Fredette, tough night from shooting standpoint, but showed a lot of courage out there as he was hounded all night.
So Mike Bruzewicz, the sophomore from St. Paul, Minnesota, his kid has a chance to be a very, very good player. He's got a great sense of humor, dressed up as Annie for Halloween, says he wants to be if basketball doesn't work out, a hockey referee in the NHL.
And I can see that too. He works out with the Wisconsin hockey team, and he's an excellent skater from Minnesota. Him and his brother's about 6'8", 6'9".
So you put those skates on, they're about 7'4" or something, man. Wow.
Brother of Princeton graduate, played on the football team there. Now inside Smith, and the foul. And so for more on the Bruiser, let's go to Marty.
Well, Gus, if you talk about the Bruiser these days, you got to talk about the locks. And look at the hair on the left, his freshman year last year, and the hair this year. We have his brother Robert, you mentioned him, played offensive line at Princeton, to thank for this. He came home about 3 years ago in the summer with his hair just like Bruzewicz has it right now. He didn't get the guts to do it until this summer. He grew it out, and here's the coup de grace. Had his mom perm it, so it looks like it does right now. Perm it all. The locks are what you talk about when you talk about Bruiser these days.
Oh, we just put this kid on blast. He did not just say perm, did he?
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, he's going to be the hit amongst the sororities.
Not a bad thing. 2:48 to play in the first half.
Shows the courage between freshman and sophomore year to be yourself, right?
It is Madison, 30-24. Gossip. Gatorade Wisconsin Player of the Year, Josh Gossip.
Much more of a concerted effort to get post-up players, but they still can't hold their position as Butler very physical and pushing guys off the block.
8 seconds to shoot. Taylor takes the 3. His jump shot way off. Nankerville there for the rebound.
I'll tell you what, Butler is playing some unbelievable defense, but if you don't come up with the defensive rebound at the end of it, it's all for naught.
2:15 to play in the first half. 30-24. Butler. Reggie Miller, Len Elmore, Marty Snyder with you from New Orleans, Louisiana. The winner of this game goes on to take on Florida for a trip to the Final Four.
Even inbounding the ball has been a chore for Wisconsin against this defense.
Gosser knocked away by Smith, recovered by Smith. Great defense by Butler once again. Under 2 minutes to go. Norred Guarded by Jarmas, giving him 6 feet.
And again, it comes down to intensity. Butler just knows how to rev it up in this kind of setting, it seems.
Howard, big time.
I love the brush screens that the guards are doing against Matt Howard's man. It's just enough for Howard to get open right behind the arc.
Matt Howard, 8 points in the first half, and Taylor fouled. Largest lead of the game for Butler.
And this is what we're talking about, the brush screen. Watch the guard, Norred, as he comes off right here. Just a little brush screen, just enough to free up Matt Howard for the uncontested 3. All it takes is a little brush screen, as we call it.
But here's the problem on the other end. Wisconsin, they could switch that. The 2 guys that are involved in that are pretty much the same size. They should switch to contest.
And Jordan Taylor
Struggling.
really struggling.
That's unbelievable. Again, 82% as a team. Your best free throw shooters can't find the range.
They're 4 of 8. They're 50%.
Knocked away. Loose ball kicked out of bounds by Smith. And Wisconsin gets it again.
But even so, ball goes to Wisconsin. Look at the hustle by Butler. We're talking about intensity. 50-50 balls. They're the ones, for the most part, they're getting to it.
I believe you.
I'm a little surprised at that from a Bo Ryan coach team. That's what he's known for. That's what he's put his stamp on throughout his fabulous Hall of Fame career.
But at the end of the regular season and into the Big Ten tournament, Wisconsin was a flat team. They got blown out by Ohio State in Columbus. Last regular season game of the year. Received the first round bye in the Big Ten tournament. And then they lost to Penn State in one of the ugliest games you'll ever see.
And again, a lot of these guys on the Wisconsin team haven't been to this level yet. Sweet 16 and playing against a team that was a national runner-up last year. There's a certain level of intensity and focus you have to have, and right now the Badgers don't seem to have it.
Jordan Taylor does not seem himself. He's breathing heavily out of his mouth. He looks actually a little bit confused out on the floor.
Gosh, you and I were talking about, this is another one of those like heavyweight fights where there's a lot of body blows going on, and it looks like Wisconsin, as the 35-second clock expires, is taking a lot of the body blows and is starting to wear them down a little bit.
Well, even on that last play, even though the shot clock ran out for him, and you look at Jordan Taylor bent over grabbing his shorts, even though the shot clock ran out on him, Butler was the first one to that last loose ball.
Wisconsin playing, quite frankly, with zero energy. Taylor, 4 seconds, trying to figure it out to the basket, rejected by Kyle Marshall, and that's the end of the first half. It was a grind, and Butler loves the way it went down. 33-24 at halftime.
Everybody hustling. Taylor gets to the basket. Marshall comes across the lane and swats that shot out. Comes out of nowhere and puts it away.
And this game is brought to you in HDTV by LG Life Good.
You know what? Bo Ryan is, obviously an outstanding coach and an overall good guy. But I think that was an unfair answer in respect to the fact that we've been watching his guys in 50-50 balls. Butler's beating them. They've beaten him off the bounce just then. And it just seems from this perspective that his guys are waiting for something to happen instead of going out and making it happen.
Shelvin Mack with the basket. And Wisconsin trying to figure some things out. Butler with their largest lead of the game now, 35-24.
Well, I tell you what, I'm encouraged by that first play right there. John Lure in the post.
Smith misses the first attempt and gets the second. Andrew Smith. And right now, we start the second half. Butler imposing their will on the Badgers.
Well, we heard the guys at half, especially Greg Anthony, talking about how this Butler team plays, and they're not going to be worn down. They're going to play the same way for 40 minutes.
And a blocking foul on the baseline. Looks like it'll go against Matt Howard. And that's his first. One thing that Butler does extremely well, not only do they play hard defense, but they know how to not foul most times.
And again, we talk about intensity. Coach is up the intensity level too. He's standing up now, and he's got that look on his face. He's in the game now.
Taylor, bounce pass, Gossa reverse layup, no. And Smith, and he's hurt. Andrew Smith grabbing his left knee. He went down awkwardly.
Oh, this is a huge, huge blow for Brad Stevens and the Butler Bulldogs. If this is what I think it is, because you're right, Gus. When he got the rebound, he came down in a very awkward position here. And as soon as he went down, he knew it.
Yeah, his left leg looked like it buckled underneath him.
And you never want to see this. I don't care what level you are. It is so quiet in here right now.
And I think it came down. His left leg came down on Taylor's right foot.
He's been playing so hard.
Not only so hard, but you know, we talked about this is the reason why Matt Howard's been able to float around the perimeter and knock down those threes, is because Andrew Smith, especially during this 11-game winning streak, 10 points, 7 rebounds, blocking shots, great defense. Now this Butler team gets that much smaller, as it looks like Marshall's going to sub in for him. You know, this is, you never want to see this, especially for the sophomore Smith. Out of Indianapolis, Indiana.
And he gets up slowly.
Well, he's putting weight on it. Not to say that,
but the way he's walking, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, I mean, but when you can bear weight on it, it's not to say that he's not coming back, but that's at least a better sign than if he could put no weight on it.
Well, it's a team game, and Brad Stevens knows his team. And there's someone on that bench now that's going to have an opportunity of a lifetime now. And Marshall, who played fantastic in that first half, Lynn, was very aggressive at both ends of the floor, but you're giving up about 3 or 4 inches from Smith to Marshall.
Oh, Marshall's just going to have to play bigger.
Now for Bo Ryan, what kind of adjustment can his team make with Smith out of the game? And that may change the way this Butler team plays, especially inside. Pull-up jumper. And Lure with the rebound. Stegall off the mark. Lure with his 6th rebound. Let's see if he goes to the box. Now Nankiville inside. Pull-up jumper. Wisconsin as a team really struggling. 8 of 26. Mack. And Taylor saves it from going out of bounds. Taylor driving straight to the basket. And that ball knocked out of bounds. For instant analysis and highlights of every tournament game, log on to SI.com.
Well, 3 early possessions here in this second half for Wisconsin. They've all been shots in the paint or at the rim. So I'm encouraged about that, what Bo Ryan has spoke to his young team about.
The only problem I have is on the post-ups, they've been turnaround fadeaway jump shots instead of taking the ball to the basket, making moves, drop steps, and otherwise it puts pressure on the D.
Matt Howard clears it. Van Sant, Mack on his hip. Now Mack driving on Nankiville, blocked by Nankiville. And a whistle and foul.
So that's one thing Marshall can do in replacement of Andrew Smith. He's much quicker, as you see. Is that an ankle or a knee?
That's an ankle, it looks like.
Well, that's great to know. That is fantastic to know that it's just an ankle.
Yeah, and the combination, again, of him being able to put weight on it tells you that maybe it is somewhat of a sprain, and they could tape it and get him back in.
And Mack fouled, driving to the basket. And Mack's such a cerebral basketball player. Whenever he sees a big guy on him, first thing he does is take it to the basket.
Well, he has the size at that, swing guard position. When he gets into the paint, he's not light. He can put his body on you and finish with the best of them.
But Gus, you talked about all three of these guards, whether it's Van Zandt, Mack, Norwood, when he's out there. High basketball IQs understand how to play the game, play to their strengths.
And let's take a look around. How about this, guys? Arizona on a serious run, leading Duke 67-57 in the second half.
I've said it once, and I'll say it a million times coming into this tournament. There's so much parity. On any given night, if you're not shooting the ball particularly well and you're a 1, 2, 3, whatever seed, you can be beat by any mid-major, by anybody.
It's also a question of matchups, too. You get key matchups and can exploit them. Doesn't matter what the name on the front of the jersey is.
Is there a lid here in this second half down here on this Wisconsin basket?
The struggle continues for Jordan Taylor.
This might be a timeout bucket right here. If you're Butler, if you knock this down, you might see a quick timeout here by Bo Ryan.
Well, again, the lid on that basket is also about the quality of the shots. You know, you got to be able to work your way. Look at the size of Wisconsin on their post-ups. They can work their way into higher percentage shots.
Ball knocked out of bounds. And let's take a look at Shelvin Mack and his ability to continue to get to the basket. 2 on the shot clock.
Now, hopefully they've communicated this with one another.
Lob inside, deflected, picked up. Jordan Taylor. He's got Gosser with him. Taylor, Matt Howard back on defense. Lure, wide open 3. Off the heel, Taylor with the rebound. New shot clock for Wisconsin. Badgers 0 for 7 in the second half. They've had plenty of opportunities. Lure rims off. There's a lid on that thing right now. And what a save by Van Zandt.
Stegall and Van Zandt were both looking at the basketball. Van Zandt just jumping out, making the play.
Van Zandt slicing, kicking, up top. And that one off the front rim. Marshall with the rebound. Mack again takes Jarmus off the dribble and draws a foul.
And you notice they keep attacking. They keep going to the basket. Bulldogs got it between their jaws, man. They want to put this one away.
Bo Ryan can't be happy. Not his night. 38-24, Butler with the lead. Ooh, 30 points for Derek Williams.
Wasn't I the one who mentioned him maybe
guys.
for the Naismith, huh? I don't remember any one of you guys throwing out his name there.
Oh, jeez. Conan's got stuntman Stephen Ho and comedian Patton Oswalt. Watch Conan tonight after our NCAA coverage only on TBS. Conan's got a comedian, and so do we. The killer, Miller. 40-24, Butler. Butler, so impressive.
And you look, what Wisconsin really fighting for post-up position on those flex cuts, and Butler keeps pushing them out.
All right, let's go to Marty for an update on Andrew Smith.
Yeah, Gus, talk to Ryan Galloy, the head trainer for Butler, and also Steve Kalidas, the team orthopedic surgeon. It is the left ankle. They taped it very thoroughly, then put a brace on it. Right now, Andrew is back in the tunnel trying to run on it and see if he's able to go. The best part about it all, guys, they asked for no x-rays, return questionable.
Bruzewicz jump shot, no. Jarmers with the rebound. And it's deflected out of bounds. Bruzewicz. Whoa, he really laid into Matt Howard. That's a hip check.
Oh, this is two guys probably at the high intensity between Matt Howard. Hey, that's part of being that hockey ref.
I was going to say,
he's checking them into the corners. He's getting ready.
If there were some boards over there, Howard would have bounced off the boards.
Mike Bruzewicz, I like him.
And luckily this isn't hockey, because I think the gloves would have come off.
No doubt about it, but right now, Taylor off the back rim.
Now they're back to shooting threes. Bruzewicz just shot a three, and Jordan Taylor.
Wisconsin 0 for 10 in the second half. Van Zandt will take his time. He's a sharp basketball player, Sean Van Zandt. Senior from Tampa, Florida. 9 points in the first half. Set the tone early. Marshall curl. Gets there. Jumper goes down.
And see, those are the kinds of shots we're talking about for Wisconsin. Short shots using the backboard, high percentage shot. They just can't get them because of the physical play of Butler down low.
42-24, biggest lead of the game for Butler.
Look at Howard pushing Lure right off the lane. And Lure's allowing that to happen. You got to sit down, lower your center of gravity, and get
just
some,
like that.
Finally.
Bruzewicz. But the Badgers have struggled from the field this half.
They've struggled, but I'm going to give all the credit to these Bulldogs. Contesting every shot, moving their feet, in sync with one another, and for Wisconsin settling for too many outside shots. 17 of their last 18 field goal attempts until Mike Bruzewicz right there got fouled going to the line for the and one.
And he adds a free throw. 42-27, 14:02 to play.
But I tell you what, plenty of time left for Bo Ryan and this Wisconsin Badgers. But it starts at the defensive end for them.
And Andrew Smith is back on the floor, ready to check in the game. Bruzewicz with a great strip of Howard. Bruzewicz will play hard, folks.
Maybe this gives Wisconsin a little bit more momentum, amps up the intensity just a little bit, and gives them some confidence. There you got 2 feet in the lane.
And a foul called on Kyle Marshall.
And take a look at his feed right here. Doesn't matter how you do it, Lure likes to face up. And the contact made, I don't know, lowered that shoulder. What Marshall had to do, had both feet on the ground in legal guarding position, and that could have been called a charge.
Andrew Smith back in the game for Butler. Jarman's on the baseline, and Howard kept it up high on the rebound. Quick outlet pass. Here's Mack. Stutter step on the baseline and a blocking foul to go against Taylor. Here's Marty Snyder.
Gus, back in the hallway, they made Andrew Smith run a couple of sprints, and then they made him run some zigzag drills side to side to make sure he could put pressure on that left ankle. He came back to the bench, tapped Brad Stevens on the shoulder, said, "I'm ready to go back in, coach." Impressive, isn't it?
Certainly is, Marty.
He's still a bit ginger as the way he walks. Maybe when he runs, he's better.
But right now, Wisconsin getting nothing from their 2 stars.
Still 9 points. We talked about at halftime. Combined, they were really struggling. They still are on those 9 points. Someone else from Wisconsin is going to have to step up offensively.
Lure with 3 points, Taylor with 6 points.
Well, if you're Andrew Smith, too, we're talking about that ankle. It's all about mind over matter. Can't worry about the pain.
Lure 3. And Howard with another rebound is 7.
What I like about him, what I like about Andrew Smith, he's not going to try to do anything out of his comfort zone. So all he really needs to do is try to play position defense and rebound the basketball.
John Lure is 1 of 10 from the field. And a foul on Bruzewicz. Get coverage of the Division I women's basketball tournament at ncaa.com/Final4.
Well, we talked about the shooting woes of Wisconsin last week in that Kansas State game for Wisconsin to move on. Jordan Taylor was 2 of 16, his worst shooting night of the season, and tonight he's 2 of 11.
And Reggie, a couple moments ago you said it's not too late for Wisconsin, and to that extent I agree, but time is running out. The way Butler's handling the ball, the way they're attacking, you know, this kind of 15-point lead is almost like being 25 points. And look at them, they're using the clock as well.
So unselfish, this Butler basketball squad. Van Zandt, Howard a 3.
Oh. He could have been sitting on the Butler bench and made that. That's how close he was. What a range.
These kids from Butler, they get after you defensively, very efficient offensively, and share the basketball.
And Norrid fouled by Ryan Evans. But the Butler Bulldogs sharing. He's carrying. Basketball player Momo Jones, part of that Arizona team, is their combo point guard. And Derek Williams.
That's a shock. That is an absolute shock.
Why, Len? Why are you shocked? Anyone? Are you shocked that Butler beat Pitt? I'm not shocked.
But I know Butler, and I know Duke. I didn't know Arizona. That's what shocks me.
That's a good one.
Back door.
Oh, look at that.
Andrew Smith.
I mean, out of a timeout, Brad Stevens has about 5 calls up his sleeve. And who would have thought that he would have thrown an alley-oop to a guy that was on the floor just moments ago in ankle pain?
And that's a great point. We haven't talked enough about Brad Stevens being a master tactician. He has done a terrific job with his team, exploiting their strengths, going after the weaknesses of the opposition. And we talked about close games. He knows how to win those close games. And this one, not close. He won't have any problem thus far.
Brad Stevens, he told us that he...
Think about all these young coaches. Brad Stevens, Shaka Smart, Josh Pastner of Memphis. Basketball is in great hands here.
Stevens, 34 years old.
Now we can throw Sean Miller in that mix.
Sean Miller,
did
absolutely.
a terrific job at Xavier, and now dismantling the team. A lot of people, when Kyrie Irving came back, thought was the odds-on favorite to win this thing.
In only his 2nd year at Arizona, Sean Miller. And a foul. Let's join Marty. And Marty, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can, Gus. And I was standing there yesterday when Brad Stevens was introduced to Reggie Miller, and the first words out of his mouth, I'm truly a big fan. That is Brad Stevens in high school wearing the 31 for, you guessed it, Mr. Miller, his all-time hero. How about that, Gus, with our crack research staff?
He had that Reggie Miller build, too.
That's a smart man.
We're not going to hear the end of this. Here's Jordan Taylor. And the rebound goes to Bruzewicz. He takes a jumper.
What is going on with Bo Ryan in this offense now? I mean, where's the swing offense? Where's the side-to-side? Where's the back cuts? Where's the inside-out? Where's Jordan Taylor at the end of the shot clock, pick and roll highs?
To a great extent, it's in Butler's back pocket because they've taken it all away.
I mean, 27 points. I mean, only 3 points since halftime for Bo Ryan and this Wisconsin Badgers.
And Butler's taken away the high percentage shots from them. They pushed them off the block. They haven't allowed them to get the offensive rebounds that they need to cut into this lead.
And all of a sudden, Butler shooting 1-1 with 10:49 remaining in the second half.
My goodness, Wisconsin, 1 of 16 field goals in this second half. 1 of 16. Remember, this is a Wisconsin team that lost to Penn State 36-33.
At least that was competitive.
As Smith misses the free throw. 47-27. Butler. Bulldogs are 10 minutes and 40 seconds away from advancing to the Elite Eight, and they have scored. Taylor, backdoor, and he gets a bucket.
Well, that's one way to get a higher percentage shot. Good execution on that one, a high screen. It was almost as if Van Zandt was aware of it. He just couldn't contain it.
Van Zandt has done a great job all night containing Jordan Taylor. Taylor 3 of 13 from the field, 0 for 4 from the three-point line. You have to give all the credit to Brad Stevens and this team because they set the tone early on defense. Smith inside, gets it again, and he traveled. See real stories of human achievement featured on the Buick Human Highlight Reel at ncaa.com/Buick. Still a lot of time remaining in this game, 47-29. What can you do, Reggie, to get back if you're Wisconsin?
Well, you can do what you just did on the previous play. That was a nice little alley-oop to Jordan Taylor. Now that's 5 quick points here by Wisconsin and Jordan Taylor. But to me, you've got to make it up at the defensive end. You're going to have to come up with some stops, some timely steals, and try to get some easy ones.
Taylor, back-to-back field goals. Stegall, Matt Howard, high arcer. Off the mark, rebounded by Bruzewicz. Let's see if Wisconsin can keep the momentum. Top of the arc, Taylor. Outlet, Norred. He's got Van Zandt cross court, finds him, pulls up. And Valentine with the rebound. Valentine is a walk-on. He's a senior. He can really shoot the three from deep.
That quick three was a little bit out of the comfort zone of Brad Stevens and what Butler has been doing all evening.
Bruzewicz with Taylor. Lure still quiet. John Lure only 3 points. Bergeron, he's a strong guy in there. Turnaround lefty. And Matt Howard pulls it down again for his 9th rebound.
Yeah, Wisconsin got the shot that they wanted, 2 feet in the paint. They just missed it. But more of that has to occur to kind of balance the three-point attempts.
Howard in the post now. Backing up on Lure, drop step off the glass, got it.
He just bogarted his way in there. Use that shoulder and that body to get himself in position for that easy bank shot. And the problem I have is Wisconsin walking the ball up. You got to get into your offense quicker now. You don't have that much time.
Well, what did our good friend in the studio say? Charles say Gordon Hayward is not walking through that door. Well, he doesn't need to walk through the door the way this Butler Bulldogs is playing right now.
Gordon Hayward rather playing with the Utah Jazz tonight, and he said he doesn't want any text messages and a foul coming against Wisconsin. He doesn't want anybody to let him know what's going on with this game. He's going to watch it later because he's taping it. And once he sees this, the former Bulldog is going to be pretty happy if they hold on.
Back in New Orleans, Butler up 17. You know, shoot-around's a very important day for everyone, including the TV crews. Watch top right of your screen in the red tracksuit. Rising fire, young fella. Gus Johnson knocking it down from half court. And yes, he did do that. We thought Reggie Miller was a shooter on our team. We didn't know it was Gus Johnson. And Gus, right. You didn't know the cameras were rolling, did you, brother?
I did not.
Oh, you knew what was going on. Gus J has game.
I'll tell you what, though. He'll never pick up another basketball again. He wants to end on a high note, right?
Way to get us out of there early, too, by the way, Gus.
Hey,
you knocked down that shot. We were all ready to go home. Gus J has game.
Even a blind squirrel can stumble across the nut, as they say. All right, 7:34 to go. 49-32. Butler against Wisconsin. Jordan Taylor at the line. And he gets the first one.
I'll tell you what, look at this. You were like, one last shot before the meeting. Okay, guys, it's time to go home. Let's go. Pack it up.
He was as surprised as anybody, though.
No love.
What was funny is he said, look, even if I touched rim, not only did you not touch rim, that was all net, my friend.
Yes, yeah, it got loud. You're here. You're here, Red. Spirit of Reggie Miller. 49-34, 7:24 to play in the second half. Now Mack, pull-up jump shot. And the rebound to Jarmus. Mack, Reggie, and Lenny, he plays with such control.
Well, that's the system Brad Stevens, along with Van Zandt and Norred, these guards, they understand their roles. They're not going to do anything outside of what is the team concept. And to me, really, the last 3 or 4 minutes, this Butler team has kind of relaxed a little bit offensively. A couple rush shots.
All right, a tournament summary as we take a look.
See there in the Mountain West, 0-2 tonight, San Diego State. And the team that we saw, BYU, both out.
You take a look at the three-point shots, 71 combined
71
between BYU and Florida.
threes.
We were talking about that all game. There's no way. I've never seen that many threes taken in one game.
Tell you what, that's a great game to play in. If you're a player and a shooter, just run up and down and cast
And
away.
if you're a big guy, you feel like you're left out because long shots lead to long rebounds.
You Tom Haynes, cast away.
Inside, that one off the mark. Gossard picks it up.
Take a look at Smith running up and down the floor. He seems to be more and more comfortable.
And how about this, guys? Arizona knocks off Duke 93-77, the second #1 seed going down. Congratulations to Sean Miller restoring that program at Arizona.
That's a huge stride. Way beyond restoration, man. They got a chance now.
Again, I'm not surprised because Duke has relied on the three-point shot all season. They were really getting 0 from their inside guys.
Well, they were doing it when Kyrie Irving went down. That was part of it. But the fact with Irving playing right now, Duke was supposed to be a new and different type of team. But nevertheless, Arizona just probably powered them, overpowered them.
Do you think in any way, shape, or form that Kyrie's return may have thrown their rhythm off?
Hey, you could say that. I haven't seen the numbers yet, but you could say that initially, especially when you play a very competitive team.
You know, quiet as kept, Wisconsin whittled this lead down to 12 points. It looks like Butler's offense, they're on a 10-2 run right here, has gone south.
Howard inside. Loose ball, rebounded Taylor. He'll push it with a chance to cut it to 10 with a 2.
And before, it was the white shirts that were flying off the glass and on loose balls. Now the black shirts are starting to hit the deck because of physical play, although Jordan Taylor just got caught with a moving screen. But Wisconsin playing with much more intensity, much more physical play. And this is something they should have started the game with. Take a look right here. Taylor on the handoff and watch him run right into Matt Howard.
That's a good call. Yep. Very good call. Where's the Butler offense now, Lynn? Where does it got to come to? I think, to me, they've got to start moving the ball from side to side and then look down to Howard.
Well, you're right. They went into their weave right now. High screen. Sheldon Mack needs to get off a little bit as well.
Now Mack, guarded by Nankerville. And a whistling foul. Jarmus called for the foul.
That puts Howard on the free throw line here.
But if you're Wisconsin, you're Bo Ryan, you don't mind that because he's battling for position right now. No, you don't want a guy on the line for the bonus. But Matt Howard has kind of had his way in the middle whenever they wanted to go to the post. Now they're battling guys, pushing them around, and maybe get called for a foul here and there. But it's going to help them overall.
Matt Howard, 78% free throw shooter. Not only is he a tough basketball player, but 3 years in a row on the all-academic team, all-academic All-America. Our kids in this tournament, so impressive, Lynn, as scholar athletes. 51-37, Taylor.
Well, that's what this is all about, isn't it? And we talked about Matt Howard having his way inside. 15 points, 4 of 7 from the field, but 3 of those 4 have been from beyond the arc. So he's been getting good position outside of the lane and beyond the arc, a place where last year would never have been expected.
And Reggie, you really like how he releases the basketball.
Yes, high arc. You know, you can make sure, it's not going to get blocked, but you're always going to give yourself a chance for the ball to go straight through the rim. Love the high arc.
Yeah, you see so many guys shooting those line drives. If you're not dead on, it hits the back of the rim and comes back to you. You know, you decrease your chances of getting that shooter's roll without that arc.
That's 4 fouls on Shelvin Mack here. 5:23 left in this ball game.
You know, besides Matt Howard, Shelvin Mack is the only other Butler Bulldog in double figures. So you now got a question down the stretch.
Well, let's see if
where's the offense coming.
Well, Sean Van Zandt, who was marvelous in that first half, let's see if he can get it going again offensively. He does have 9 points.
Yeah, he's been scoreless in this half, though.
And Howard fouled again.
I like it. They're going to their bread and butter down low. Their best player.
Let's take a look at some of tonight's shining moments.
Well, Kemba Walker, we talked about 36 points against San Diego State. Alex Tyus in our game that we had earlier, 19 and 70. But what about Derek Williams? Put it on a show against Duke in Anaheim.
Momo Jones, another New York City kid, 16 and 6.
Momo wants Momo.
And Howard gets a second. 52-39 as we approach the 5-minute mark of the second half. The winner to advance to the Elite Eight. To take on the Florida Gators, Jordan Taylor has 4 fouls for Wisconsin. And he's bumped up top. Looks like Norrid got him, and that'll send Taylor to the line to shoot 2.
And that's a mistake. Ronald Norrid needs to understand they've got the double-digit lead with a little less than 5 minutes. The silly, useless fouls that are going to put a guy on the line 40 feet from the basket are going to hurt.
If you would like to make a donation to help in the ongoing relief effort for the disaster in Japan, log on to cnn.com/impact.
Well, not only that, you put them on the free throw line, but it gives a chance for Wisconsin to set their defense.
And Jordan Taylor missing the second free throw.
7 of 11 from the free throw line for Jordan Taylor.
Van Zandt keeps his dribble alive, backs it up. Eight to shoot for Van Zandt. Baseline, in and out. Taylor couldn't hold on. Great hustle play by Kyle Marshall.
Now you run another 25 to 32 seconds off this shot clock if you're Brad Stevens and the Butler Bulldogs.
12-point game.
Wisconsin, another opportunity to get this deficit down to 10-9 with the 3. But you blow it on the second shot opportunity, and the hustle by Butler.
And Coach Stevens decides to call a timeout. 3:56 to play, second half. Butler up by 12. All right, welcome back to New Orleans in our first game. What a game it was. Jimmer Fredette, they beat him up. Calf injury, cut underneath his chin. He ended with 32 points. But it was the Florida Gators. Alex Tyus, what a game. Double-double. Chandler Parsons in the gym range. With a big 3 in overtime, and the Florida Gators advance to the Elite Eight under Billy Donovan, and they await the winner of this game between the Badgers and the Bulldogs. Howard forced that one up. Chased down his own rebound. And out of bounds. 3:44 to play. Second half. Back to New Orleans after this. Welcome back as we look at the game summary. Butler with a 52-40 lead And the Bulldogs defense, look at Wisconsin's shooting percentage, 24%. And the 2 stars for this Badger squad not playing their best game.
5 of 26. And if you want to go far in this tournament, your stars, superstars, all Big Ten first-team players have to show up. And tonight, again, I tell you, if you have a bad shooting night, as Wisconsin comes up with the steal, if you have a bad shooting night, you could be going home.
Taylor 3 in and out.
Oh, look at that board. Marshall went up.
Man, that would have been a big 3 right there. You would have cut it down to 9 with just a little over 3:30 left. Plenty of time left. Now you have Marshall going to the free throw line to extend this 12-point lead.
And again, the smaller Butler team. Yesterday, remember Brad Stevens, when asked what concerns him, he said it was the size of Wisconsin. Well, they're the ones who are dominating inside on the boards and on the paint.
Now, after the game on TBS is Inside March Madness, presented by Buick with Ernie Johnson, Steve Smith, Seth Davis, and Michigan State head coach Tom Izzo from our Atlanta studios.
Well, Lynn, you talked about rebounding. Remember, this Butler team out-rebounded the #1 rebounding team in the land in Old Dominion in that second-round matchup. So he stressed it in that game, and already 34-28 rebounding margin in this game.
Bruzewicz strong to the basket. Bruzewicz is going to be a nice player as his career develops at Wisconsin. 53-42, 3:21 to play. Welcome back as you take a look at the game reset. 53-42 Butler. 3 minutes and 21 seconds remaining in this game.
Well, I love the aggressive nature by Wisconsin over the last 7-8 minutes. You would hope they would have had that at the start of the game. Too many settling for jump shots.
Van Zandt quickly over the midcourt line.
And that's a measurement of intensity and effort as well, settling for jumpers instead of being the aggressors.
Still a lot of time left, 3 minutes. Wisconsin, if they can cobble together a few stops and hit timely baskets.
You know, their ability, Wisconsin's ability to whittle down this lead demonstrates that newfound focus.
Mack forced it up. And the rebound to Gosser. Gosser's giving this Wisconsin team nothing tonight. 0 for 3. Bruzewicz, he's been playing hard and he throws it away.
Actually, he got swiped by Matt Howard. Nice job utilizing his hands, getting all ball.
Well, the sad thing about it is Lure only has 1 more point.
Knocked away, stolen Jarmus to Gosser, and he lays it in. 2:15 to go, timeout. All right, the game reset. If you're Bo Ryan, what needs to happen for you to get back in this game with 2:15 to go?
Well, obviously, you continue to apply pressure. You either want to get a steal or you force Butler into a quick shot or bad shot, rebound and push. But you need to have some bounces go your way. And the flip side of it is Butler needs to get back to the way they started this game, aggressively going inside the paint.
Oh, a steal, Jarmus! And this full court pressure causing Butler all kinds of problems now. Stegall breaks to the ball. Van Zandt in the back, they've been trapping him. He'll get it over the line. 1:52 to go.
Butler's playing like they want the clock to run out instead of
Mack
playing to win.
blocked. Jarmus.
You got to play to win, and Butler's not doing that. They want that clock to run out instead of
Taylor
taking
for 3. Got it. Whoa. Wisconsin right back in it. 4-point game, 53-49. Timeout, Butler. 1:29 to go. The Badgers knocking on the door.
And you're wondering, why is it a 4-point lead only now for Butler? The steal there. And here's the key block by Lure. He hasn't done it offensively, but defensively comes up with a big block. And Jordan Taylor, the go-to player all season for Wisconsin, has now cut into this lead.
But this full court pressure causing Butler a lot of problems. Van Zandt draws a double, tries to dribble out of it, somehow does to Gall. Will bring it back, 53-49. Wisconsin does not want to foul, but they need a stop, and Butler will take their time.
All too often, it's the defense that gives you momentum. But on that last steal under the basket, Matt Howard was backing away from the ball. And that's what I mean. Butler has lost its aggressiveness.
9 seconds to go. A minute remaining. Van Zandt hands it off. Mack looks at the clock. Step back. 16-footer.
Oh, my goodness.
Ice water.
Shelvin DeMack.
55-49. Taylor, though, he steps back. Leads in. Lure three. And Van Zandt tripped and fouled with 39.3 to go.
And this is what you want to do if you're Brad Stevens. Put the ball into your playmaker's hands. Junior Shelvin Mack with the little step back over the 6'10" outstretched hands
and look at the shot
of John
clock.
Lure.
Shot clock was down to 1. Take a look right there. And he makes that shot unbelievable. You talk about ice water in the veins.
Sean Van Zandt, 72% free throw shooter.
You don't want to keep giving Wisconsin life now.
Norred will check in.
That's a smart move
for Butler.
Put a better defender out on the perimeter to go against Jordan Taylor.
And Van Zandt gets the second. 7-point game. Taylor takes his time picking it up. He'll pick it up in the front court. Badgers got to hurry. Straightaway three. Got it! Woo! We told you Jordan Taylor was a second half player. 34.1 to go. 56-52.
Wisconsin out of timeouts. Butler in the double bonus. That full court pressure here by Wisconsin really has affected the Butler Bulldogs. You're Brad Stevens. You got to do a better job of getting the ball to your playmakers.
Wisconsin was down 47-27 with 11:32 to go. Since then, the Badgers have outscored Butler 25-9.
You try for one steal on the double team. If you don't get it, you got to extend. And by fouling, just like that. Now you got to extend the game.
And Mack, an 80% free throw shooter, will go to the line.
It's already a 2-possession game. If he hits both of these, it remains a 2-possession game.
Remember, Wisconsin doesn't have any timeouts left. You're Brad Stevens, you're going to have to look at this tape because Butler is catching the ball, as we call, in the coffin corners. You never want to have the ball go into the corners. That's the worst place for any team because you can trap. You want to try to keep the ball in the middle so you can see the floor.
But the other steals, a couple of them occurred because the Butler guys didn't come and meet the ball. They started backing away, particularly the one under the basket that was intended for Matt Howard.
Mack missing the second. Howard, offensive rebound. That's the play of the game for Butler. And that just saps all of the energy out of this Wisconsin team.
Matt Howard has just done it at both ends of the floor. Not only 16 points, but 12 rebounds. And really, he has outplayed John Lure.
And how he got past John Lure on that particular miss is beyond me. You got to be prepared to block a guy out, get him on your hip, and hold him there. Well, Howard beat him into the lane.
Matt Howard just looks like he's a bit stronger.
Well, he was quicker. He was quicker on that one because he beat him there.
Gets both free throws. 59-52. 18 points for Howard. Taylor. And throws it out of bounds. With 22.5 to go.
Looks like reality setting in. Again, try for a steal. Quick foul.
And there's a steal. Knocked out of bounds. bounds, and Wisconsin will hold on.
Again, where's the ball going? Into Coffin corner.
But
why
see,
are
he's
you in the
backing
corner?
away. You saw that? He backed away from the ball. You got to come meet the pass. Every time they've thrown it away for the most part, the receiver has backed away instead of meeting it.
Bruzewicz a three. Knocked out of bounds, and Butler gets it again. And Mack will inbound it. Oh, what a dive, Gosser. And it's out of bounds. Last touch by Butler with 15.6 to go.
Did this go off the fingertips of Hahn right here? Hard to tell from that angle.
You've got to step to the ball for the third time. He's standing there waiting for it and allows the defender to shoot the gap.
Jarmus, Taylor takes the three. Off the back rim, gets the rebound. Inside. Gosser lays it up. 59-54, 5.3 to go. And Howard goes up. He'll wait to get fouled, and Lohr fouls him with 3.2 seconds left. What a scramble, guys, at the end of this game. But that's the kind of intensity
that was missing in the first half on the part of Wisconsin.
And Lohr fouls out, folks, with 3 points.
Not the way the senior wanted to finish his collegiate career, having this kind of tough night on the biggest stage.
He did have 6 rebounds and 2 assists, but John Lohr finishes the night 1 for 12.
Yep.
First free throw good for Matt Howard, so we will advance the Bulldogs, and they are now 1 game away from advancing to the Final Four back-to-back years, but Billy Donovan's Florida Gators stand in the way.
First thing that jumps out to me in that matchup, again, the size of Florida. Tyus, who played great tonight, 19 and 17. Macklin, young, but I am never going to underestimate the way this Butler team performs at such a high level defensively. They just can't go to sleep.
And Matt Howard checks out of the game. What a game for Matt Howard. 20 points, 12 rebounds. He is just a wonderful lunch pail type player. 61-54 the final. The Butler Bulldogs do it again, upsetting Wisconsin, the higher seed, 61-54. Butler, Florida, for a chance to go to Houston and the Final Four.